Hey everyone, welcome back to the District 3 podcast. My name is Edwin.
And I'm Miggs.
And Elena's not here today, but congratulations to Elena because she just had her baby.
Oh, yeah.
By the time this episode comes out, she would have already had her baby like 2 weeks. But congratulations to her and congratulations to Jasper.
And baby Zuri.
I saw you looking for the name too, Mix. I was pulling up my Instagram too.
Yeah, thanks for putting that out.
For calling you out. For baby Zurita. So congratulations once again to Jasper and to Elena. And I'm glad the baby came out healthy. And now Elena is a mother of 3. So very congratulations to her. How have you been, Miggs?
I've been all right. I've been a little stressed out trying to edit all these podcasts before I had to take off for work for like 2 weeks. And anyway, it's been really difficult. And it looks like I'm not going to get it done.
Where are you going again?
Orlando and Oklahoma City.
Oh, wow.
2 weeks back to back. So straight from one to the other.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
And when do you come back?
Sometime next month.
And you just went to Louisiana too, right? What did you do over there?
Louisiana was what was Louisiana? Oh yeah, a basketball game. LA Tech basketball game. Louisiana Tech basketball game. It's in Ruston. It's about a 6-hour drive. Usually I turn down. I've been turning them down for like the last 3 weeks. Like, come to Ruston, and I'm like, nah.
Flex.
And then, but now, like, I have to be like, okay, just because. I mean, if I keep turning it down, they're gonna stop calling.
Yeah, can't be doing that. I did want to mention that I slipped on the ice 2 days ago when I was coming out of Compila's Coffee House. I was having a meeting there in the morning, and I was trying to like be careful and walk super slow, but I had dress shoes on, and one wrong step that I made, I forgot what it feels like to fall. Like for 1 second you're up and on your feet, and then the other second you're like on the ground and you don't know what the heck happened. And like whenever I fell, like I landed on my right side, and I don't know what I did. I think I like I tightened up when I fell, and now my neck and the back of my head feel tense. And I was like, I'm gonna go to the gym and like just work out my arms so that like the pain is all over and I don't feel that spot. And I did it this morning, and now it hurts even more. Yeah. So I'm like, man, I should have just stayed home and not do nothing.
Did you post about that or anything?
No, I didn't.
Okay, because I was like, that's news to me that you fell.
I was going to, but I was trying to make something like I was gonna make a funny post on Facebook.
Do you always wear dress shoes?
When I'm trying to be presentable, yes. And
okay.
it was a meeting, so it didn't require dress shoes or anything like that. But that's just my personality. I'll go to the gas station in dress shoes just to.
Yeah, if I have to go to a meeting and try to impress anybody, I'll just get some fresh Cortez.
Okay. Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
But I'm hoping that this pain goes away because this is my birthday week and I want to enjoy it. I want to dance and I don't want to be in pain. So, hey, here's to hoping that this pain goes away magically in the next 24 hours.
Dude, being old sucks, because it hurts.
I ain't old, Miggs. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I'm about to be 33 years old.
I used to skateboard because, I don't know, I just used to skate as a kid. And then here, when I got in my 30s, like, I remember like, oh, I'm going to go get something from the gas station. I'm going to skate over there. And on the way back, boom. And I was like, oh, dude, like it sucks. Like, and it happened before too, but like it takes me out of commission for like a week every time I fall. When I was like younger, I used to just bounce back and get back on it. Yeah.
Oh man.
But so that was skateboarding, and now we have somebody here who is talking about biking.
Yes. She is the current co-founder and executive director of All Bodies on Bikes. Joining us today, we have Marley Blonsky. Thank you for joining us, Marley.
Yeah,
how are you?
Welcome to the pod.
Welcome.
I'm excited to be here.
Welcome. What do you think about Mick's story about falling off a skate? Have you ever fallen off a bike before?
I have fallen off a bike, and it's the worst. And yeah, you're right. I'm in my late 30s, and you don't bounce up the same way you used to. Like, it takes me out. I don't know. People around here are really into mountain biking, and I'm like, no, I don't want to fall. Like, keep me on the pavement, keep me on the gravel.
Yeah, I used to have a friend, Zoo Zytek, shout out Zoo, but Susanna, I guess was her name. But yeah, she was an avid bike rider, and she would always post pictures of her road rashes from like falling coming down the mountain or something.
It's awful.
Yeah.
So thankfully I haven't fallen in a while, and knock on wood, we're gonna keep that going and not fall.
This is not wood, Marley. This is something else.
It's like particle board, right? It's got wood in it.
What do you do when you fall? Like, do you like? I know I would like look around, make sure no one saw me.
Yeah,
That's
typically
kinda my
like.
thing.
Well, I mean, it depends on how hard you fall, if you hit your head, all that stuff. But typically, it's like oh God, anybody see that?
Yeah.
Am I okay? Is my bike okay?
When I fell 2 days ago, I no one was around me, but there was a business that was open right behind me, and they had glass windows. Like people in there saw me, and if they have like CCTV footage, like someone can like put that up online, and it's hilarious. Like I felt pretty cool, but it's definitely one of those things where you get up and you're just kind of looking around, like no one saw me, okay.
That's the first thing I do. Oh, anybody see it?
I walked that shit off, and I was like, I'm not gonna even look around to see if there's someone that saw me that I didn't see.
I did have one epic fall one time that was caught on camera, and I thought it was really funny. We were like, have you ever seen the ramps that go into airbags that you can like? So I was playing on those. It was part of a clinic, and I thought I knew what I was doing, and so I went, and then I totally just tumbled and like forward flip, and it was bad. And the video was really funny, and thankfully I was okay. I had a slight concussion. Yeah, so not that great. Even though you landed on an airbag, you still got a concussion. But I put it up on the internet because I thought it was funny. And I have a lot of Instagram followers, and the internet also found it very funny.
That's good.
It went viral. A lot of jerks came out in the comments. Somebody said, "I have the fitness of a manatee." Yeah, but jokes on them. I turned that around and ended up making a clothing line out of it. So
okay,
yeah.
And you got them views too. So
exactly.
I know. Talking about views, and you probably experience this too or know about this because you're a content creator. I didn't know that Instagram pays people for their views.
Yeah, it's wild. Even Threads is paying people now. Like I made $500 last month on Threads just talking about unhinged stuff or reposting other things or talking about politics that are important to me. Like not even bike related stuff.
Oh, wow.
And I made $500.
And look, my follower account's probably like 4% of what you have, but I got a notification a week ago from Instagram, and they were like, "Hey, your posts have gotten enough likes and views recently that we're gonna put you in this like gift program." Or something like that. So it's like look, if you look at my balance right now, I probably got $3. You know, but
like,
it
adds up.
But it's just like, wow, I did not know that was actually an opportunity you could have.
Yeah, and honestly, like I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but give me that Zuckerberg money.
Yeah.
Like.
Hey,
yeah.
get your bag.
Yeah.
It's about time we starts paying content creators.
Exactly. Yeah.
Get your bag.
I mean, I was pretty upset when YouTube came out. We always used to say that YouTube is the lowest paying client that we have because like you work so much and you have to put out so much, and then and at the end of the day they give you like $1 after a few months, and you're like, Jesus Christ, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I guess unless you're,
Mr. Beast.
Yeah, Mr. Big Time. Yeah.
There's like I think the range. It probably changed, but it used to be like $1,000 for every million views, which is crazy still.
That is crazy. Yeah.
It's 1 million views. That's
I've never gotten anywhere close to that.
Man, hey,
Yeah.
maybe in the future.
Maybe this podcast. Maybe
Right.
we're gonna get 1 million views on
Look,
this podcast.
let me tell you something. I don't take credit for anybody's rise. But there was this one person that I talk about a lot on the podcast, and it wasn't because of us, but it was a coincidence. This one Latino young man from Rogers, he came here on the podcast, and then like a month later, he had this hit song that went like nationwide, even internationally.
I don't know the lyrics. I'm trying to think of it.
When trending on TikTok, his song in a house 300 million plays on Spotify and millions of views on YouTube, and so we'll take a little bit of credit just because we were his first interview he ever did, and then after us, another radio station wanted him, and then another radio station wanted him, and then he put out that song, and now he's touring around the country.
That's so cool.
So I ain't taking credit for it, but I'm just saying, like,
hey, by the way, congratulations, Emmanuel.
You're welcome. Just kidding.
Remember where you started.
Come
back and visit us one day.
Shout out to Emmanuel Torres, though. But I want to talk a little bit more about you, a little bit of like your background and where you came from. You're not from here originally,
I'm
right?
not. So I was born in Texas, moved to Washington State when I was a kid, and then I lived in Seattle most of my adult life. I moved here 3 years ago. I don't know if you guys remember when they were doing that like move here grant when they were paying people
10K and a bike.
10K and a bike, and I got that. Yeah, so I was one of the grant recipients. Yeah,
Okay.
I did not. I know, right? it felt wild because it was like for entrepreneurs and self-employed people. And I was like, a nonprofit counts as entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
I didn't take the bike because, and I'm sure we'll talk about this, I'm a sponsored bike rider. And so I ended up getting a membership to the Momentary, which was a cool way to, my first year here, like get into the scene and stuff. So.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think if
I'm still trying to get a bike, man.
I can help you with that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's the person you need to talk to.
I was going to talk to Huckabee.
I think it's interesting that you moved from one of the most conservative states to one of the most liberal by going from Texas to Washington.
Yeah.
How was that change just of like the environment of whenever you moved from Texas? I don't know what part of Texas you moved from.
So I was in the DFW area.
Okay.
And I was like 11 when we moved. It was a culture shock for sure, but in a good way. Went from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is even, when was this? 1997. I'm
Pretty
aging
diverse.
myself. What was that?
Pretty diverse, right?
It was pretty diverse, but it was also very car dependent, not a lot of stuff to do in the outdoors. And then we moved to Washington and super liberal, people are outside hiking and fishing and camping all the time. And my family was not like that. It was like, what do we do here? But obviously I fell in love with it. I don't know if you guys remember the show The Real World on MTV. So when we moved to Washington, The Real World Seattle had their episode.
Oh,
and I remember watching that as like a 13-year-old girl and being like, I'm going to live in Seattle when I'm a grown-up. And so when it came time for college, I applied to the University of Washington. I got in, and then I went to school there. And then when I graduated, it was 2008. The recession, and I did not move. I got the first job I could, and I stayed there until 2022 when I moved here.
Washington, the rain, it rains a lot, right?
It does rain a lot,
Does it like, because I told you that my wife and I did a road trip from here to Washington, and we really enjoyed it. We loved like the trees, the rain, the mist, all of that. How is it living there? Like, is it depressing? Just always raining all the time? It's
I
like
dealt
London.
with a lot of seasonal depression.
Okay.
That first nice spring day, you go outside and you just feel alive again. But what they don't tell you is the summers in Seattle and Western Washington are phenomenal. Like, you're talking 70 to 80 degree days. Ooh. The sun's up till 10 p.m. Like, it is just perfect. You don't need air conditioning. There's not bugs. I mean, this is changing as the climate is changing, and there's forest fires, and they have they call it a smoke season now. So it's summer, and then you get smoke season where there's the sky is orange. But living there is pretty awesome. If I could afford to move back there, I probably would.
Is it expensive?
It is expensive. It's
more expensive than Bentonville?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay, to be fair.
You should see some of those restaurants over there.
Yeah. To be fair, and you and I talked about this a little bit, I have a unicorn of a rental in Bentonville. I have a small old house 2 blocks from the square that I pay less than $1,200 for a month, which is unheard of. My landlord, I don't think he knows, hopefully he's not listening to this. I don't think he knows the rental rate or the market rate that he could get. But that's what's made Bentonville affordable to me. Bentonville is not affordable for most folks at all. I mean, did you guys see that story that just came out that there was it wasn't even low income, but it was housing assistance for down payments. And there were no properties that qualified for it. They were all too expensive.
Oh, wow.
So it's Seattle's more expensive than Bentonville, but Bentonville is quite expensive.
So why did you want to make that big shift from Washington to here? Besides, I know you saw that ad about the $10,000 in the bike, but was there anything else?
Yeah. So I was looking for a change. I'd been in Seattle for almost 20 years, and it was getting pricey. And as we were launching All Bodies on Bikes as a nonprofit, I knew that I needed to cut my expenses. I had been working in corporate America, making decent money, but I was kind of miserable, boring, just going to the office every day.
Corporate America does that too sometimes.
It does. It kind of destroys your soul.
Yeah.
They tried to get me to get a corporate job, and I was like, I have to go in every day at 8 o'clock.
This does not work for me. So I was just kind of weighing my options. I thought about going to Portland. I thought about going to Minneapolis. And then Northwest Arkansas came on my radar. There was a big bike race that happened here in 2022 in January. And one of my sponsors brought me down to attend that bike race. And that was my first time coming here. It was at Centennial Park. It was the Cyclocross World Championships. And I was like, this place is cool. I went to Crystal Bridges, and I was staying at a place up in Bentonville. And as I was biking around, I ran across this house that was for rent, and I just kind of took the leap. Oh, wow. It was I can afford this. With that grant program, it was like you have to live here for a year and then you can go somewhere else. And now I've been here 3 years and haven't gone anywhere else yet. So,
were you originally planning on just staying for that year and then taking off?
I didn't have a plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say because when I moved here, it was a 2-year plan.
Okay.
And 15 years later, like
Yeah. You know, there's challenges to living here, but I've also found a really good community. There's a lot of good things happening here. The outdoors is beautiful. And honestly, moving is just expensive. So I don't know where else I'd go.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's like how am I gonna get all this stuff in the truck?
Yeah, that too.
So how do you start getting interested in biking? Where does that come from? I'm guessing this was like maybe even in Texas, or was it?
Yeah. So I mean, as a kid, as I think a lot of us did, we rode bikes with our friends in the neighborhood. Rode bikes to school. It was just. I was a child in the 90s. We played outside a lot, and I loved bikes. And I was always a chubby kid, and so bikes let me keep up with my friends. You know, if we were like running through the neighborhood, I was always too slow. Like, I don't like to run. I still don't like to run. But on bikes, it was like a level playing field. And so I kept riding bikes through middle school and high school every once in a while, and then in college just kind of forgot about the bike. You know, life went on, and in 2013, I was married and I got divorced. And I moved from a part of Seattle where you needed a car to a part of Seattle where you really didn't want to have a car. It was super dense. Parking was a pain in the butt. Like, it just didn't make sense to drive anywhere. And so I got rid of my car and I was taking the bus everywhere, but the bus took forever. You know, to go like 3 miles, it was taking me like 45 minutes. And it's like, I could have walked faster, but as I already said, I'm lazy. Still true. And so I saw all these people riding bikes and I was like, I think I could do that. That looks like fun. And I was like mid-20s at this point, kind of in my hipster phase. And all the hipsters were riding bikes. And so...
And this was in Portland, right?
Seattle.
Yeah. Oh, Seattle,
Yeah.
So you had the flannel with the... Okay.
Yeah, and you can't tell now because I've got sleeves on, but I've got, you know, full tattoos and the skinny jeans and all that.
Yeah. Did you have those little, what's called the little mini beanies? The baby beanies? No.
Oh my gosh. I was never cool enough for the baby beanie, but I know exactly. I dated lots of boys who wore the baby beanies and the hipster glasses and the beard and
But probably like some pale ale or whatever.
Some IPAs.
IPAs,
Yeah. We did a lot of, so I got into bike riding from that. And so a lot of bike riding, drinking beer, exploring the city. And just started going on bigger adventures. You know, I started like loading up my bike with camping gear, going camping. But I started running into barriers pretty immediately. Like, as I talked about a couple times, I'm bigger bodied. I think I was like 250 pounds at the time. And so finding clothing that fit, finding a bike that fit, you know, I was breaking equipment on my bicycle and I realized it shouldn't be this way. You know, like, I'm not that big of a person. There's got to be a solution here. And that's kind of how All Bodies on Bikes got started.
So what's the mission of the nonprofit All Bodies on Bikes?
As the executive director, I should know this off the top of my head, and I don't. We need to shorten it.
I heard you say that in another podcast. You said the same thing. You were like, I don't have it in front of me, but
yeah.
But I guess what's like the overall like idea of it, you know?
Yeah. So we are on a mission to make cycling more inclusive for people of all sizes and shapes. And so through that, we do advocacy to the industry. We do education, so programs for the community, how to find a bike, how to ride comfortably, how to fit your bike to you. And then we just do community activations. So we do group rides where nobody gets left behind.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I could have just, I have the website pulled up. I don't know why I couldn't just pull it up and just said what the mission was on here.
That's okay.
But I'm glad the way you explained it. I think you did a really good job at that.
Thank you. Yeah. And I don't know. I can explain it better than I can read a sentence, you know?
Yeah.
The big thing that we focus on, though, is joy. So oftentimes, you know, whenever you talk about people in bigger bodies or exercise, weight loss always becomes part of the conversation. And we are steadfast that we don't talk about that. We don't care why you're riding a bike. We don't care what size your body is. We want you to experience it in a way that's safe and joyful for you. So whether that's like you want to do 100 miles and like race and get in shape in quotes or whatever that is, cool. Let's find a way for you to do that. You want to ride with your kids? Cool. Let's get a bike for that. And so really just helping people discover joy.
So in regards to like being like this organization being inclusive of people of all sizes, is there something that like people of bigger sizes have to look into in regards to like what kind of bike that they get?
That's a really good question. So the biggest thing is there are weight limits on bikes, and it can be hard to find the weight limit. And so digging through the owner's manual or looking on their website and just making sure that the bike you're on is going to work for you. There's a lot of things that can be done to help augment that weight limit. So stronger wheels. If you think of a tandem bike, so a tandem where you've got two people on one bicycle together, those wheels are super strong. They're ready to hold like 600 pounds. So if you can get a set of those wheels, and then just, making sure your seat feels good, making sure your clothing isn't rubbing or going to get caught anywhere in the bike. There's nothing inherently special about a bigger body on a bicycle except making sure the equipment works.
That makes sense, because I've always wondered, because I've had friends that I've tried to get them to join us for like a bike ride and stuff, and I could tell that like they were very self-conscious about participating, and maybe because of that, right? I'm not here to assume, but I've always wondered, any kind of movement is better than no movement, right?
100%. Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that I really like about y'all's nonprofit is just that the fact that you're just getting people to move.
Yeah.
Obviously, right, it's better to have some sort of activity than not have some activity, and anything that you can do to make people feel like it's okay for them to get on a bike goes a long way for someone's health, and for someone to maybe take that next step and be like, okay, maybe I don't feel comfortable running right now, but I can at least hop on this bike and move a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. All the research and even my own personal life shows that when you move your body, you feel better. And even on those days when I'm like having a super depressive day and I just want to lay on the couch and watch The White Lotus, or I'm really into The White Lotus right now.
That's
I don't know if you guys
HBO
have
Max,
seen
isn't
that.
it?
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah, the second episode I think just came out, right?
Yeah. But whenever I just want to like lay around and watch TV, if I can convince myself to, even if it's a walk or a bike ride around the block, like it always helps me feel better. So
that's one of the things that I've been doing, just because I'm very, I think I'm very health paranoid of, I'm okay, and then my mind just makes up all these things of like,
and then you slip on the ice.
Yeah, and then I fell, and then like now I have this thing, and I'm like, man, is this from my fall, or am I just dying? Right? That's how my health anxiety is. So I remember I would see some videos to try to get motivation to work out, like fitness videos on TikTok or on YouTube, and I heard that phrase about like movement is better than no movement, and that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
So nowadays what my schedule looks like is at the beginning, when I wake up, wash my teeth, kiss the wife, kiss the doggy, and then I go straight to the gym.
Good for you.
I do that every day except on Sundays. I try to take that day off. But the days that for some reason I can't go in the morning because of a meeting or whatever life throws at me, I will try to at least walk with my dog for 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And that phrase got stuck in my head of like, movement is better than no movement, right? And my situation is a little bit different. I am in a like trying to lose weight journey. That's kind of where I'm at right now. But there's also value in just, getting out there for your mental health.
Yep. And
doing something, which I'm preaching to the choir here, but I'm preaching to our listeners
exactly
that maybe are not motivated to.
So going outside and moving. Hold on.
Yes.
Explain this to me.
Yes. Getting a breath of fresh air, like a walk does so many good things for my mental health.
Dude, I used to feel like when I used to have a dog, I used to get out a lot more. And like I would go and take my dog on a walk, and then just to be nice to him. And I used to live right by the University of Arkansas. Oh. So like, and then so I would take him out like a few times a day, but then at nighttime, like around 11 p.m., I would just let him go, and it would take forever. We'll go take 2-hour walks just because I was out there with my dog.
Yeah.
But as soon as like, because of my job situation, I had to travel all the time when I had to get rid of him. Like, he's still around. Like, I still see him every once in a while.
Yeah, the way you said that was kind of scary.
Yeah. But he couldn't live with me anymore. But then immediately, I'm not walking anymore.
Yeah, it's hard.
And I think what I do, like whenever I walk with my dog during the day, I'll put my headphones on because I like to listen to music.
Yeah.
And I guess it also like motivates me more to move more. But those dog walks sometimes take a while because I like to let my dog sniff what he wants to sniff.
I do too.
Like
I heard somebody call it one time. They're checking their pee mail. Like how we check our email, they're checking their pee mail and like checking in with their friends. And now whenever my dog's like into something, I like to let her sniff.
Yeah, because usually I'd be I would find myself that I'd be like, I got 35 minutes to do this walk because I have something going on, right? Whether it being like preparing for dinner or whatever meeting I had. So I'd be like, no, like we have to go like 35 minutes. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, man, this is the only time that he has to like walk the neighborhood today.
Yeah.
And like he's probably been looking forward to this the entire time. Like I should at least let him sniff as much as he wants. I mean, there's some times where you're just like, don't sniff that like poop that's on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Like, but when it's like a post, you know, he's like smelling like pee of like the past decades and that on that post. I'm like, take your time, bro.
Yeah.
You should let dog be a dog, kind of, and an animal. As long as he comes whenever I'm ready to go, that's fine.
100%. Yep.
I'm very more mindful of that. But I saw a picture that you have a doggy. What kind of doggy do you have?
She's a rescue special. She's 15. Her name's Daisy May. She's mostly beagle, but she likes to ride in the front of my cargo bike with me,
Okay.
which is really fun. Yeah.
Is she still pretty active, like in regards to like walking? Does she?
Yeah, we do like one walk a day, usually about half an hour, but she's slowing down quite a bit, which makes me sad, but that's okay.
And how long have you had her?
I got her during COVID, actually.
Okay.
So I adopted her as a senior dog. My thought was like, oh, I'll give her the best end of her life that I can. And then, this COVID nonsense will be over and I'll get back to work and travel. And here we are 5 years later and she's still doing great. So
That's tough though. That's tough. I like to make that decision of getting like a dog in the last few years of their life.
yeah.
How do you manage that? Because I would be stressing about it just because like I'm really attached to my dog. My dog, I've had him since he was pretty much, I think it was like 3 or 4 months, I believe, and now he's about to be 4 in July. How do you think about that a lot? Just because like
I do. Well, so when I adopted her with her sister. It was like a bonded pair, and I was like, 2 dogs can't be harder than one. Spoiler alert, yes, they can. I learned quickly. I hadn't had pets as an adult at that point. And so Lacey, her sister, died 2 years ago. And it was really sad. But I just had to keep in mind, like that was the whole point of me getting them, was to give them the best end of their life. Although I think now of like, should I get her a friend? And then I would have that dog. And but I really like to travel. I really, once Daisy May is gone, I'd love to do some like nomad lifestyle and maybe go abroad for a little while. And you can't do that with a dog. So.
And I've going back to what you just said about giving the dog the best life, I think about that a lot too. Like I sometimes even get cocky with it and I'll be like, Duke, that's my doggy's name. I'll be like, I'm giving you one of the best lives a dog has ever had. You know, I give you so much attention. Like I try to find the most.
Should we fact check that?
Where's he at right now? The most enjoyable.
No, I mean, because I'm pretty sure the other dogs will probably have way more pamper.
But I guess it just depends on what you think is the greatest dog life, right?
Right.
Because I like to think that the attention that you give the dog is like probably the best thing, because a dog can live in a wealthy house and the owner doesn't like spend time with them.
Kind of like a child, right?
And they don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
They don't know the person's wealthy.
Yeah.
But at least with us, like we give him so much attention. We've taken him like on road trips. Like we took him, his first road trip was to Nashville.
Oh, nice.
So we got like a Airbnb that was dog friendly, and like we took him out in the city. Like he got to walk around and stuff. And the next trip is we're trying to take him to Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, fun.
Savannah is like one of our favorite places to visit. And we know that like he'd love to go. He's never been to the beach before.
Oh, yeah.
So we're
Dogs
looking
love the beach.
forward to just seeing how he reacts when he goes to the beach. But going back to All Bodies on Bikes, Marley, can you talk a little bit about like if someone wants to get involved with this nonprofit, what does that look like? How do they reach out to you? And what do the opportunities look like to get involved? Like how can someone do that?
Yeah, so we've got a chapter here in Northwest Arkansas. We have 14 chapters across the nation. So maybe you're listening to this in New York City or Portland or, I don't know, Des Moines, Iowa. I don't know how you found District 3 podcast, but you're here. So we have chapters, and that's the best way to get involved. If you go to our website and click on the Get Involved tab, you'll see the local chapters. And just reach out and send us an email. If you want to get involved in the leadership side of things, we always welcome that. Always looking for ride leaders, people to do programming, to do educational stuff, or if you want to ride with us, follow us on Instagram. We have an All Bodies on Bikes Instagram that's like kind of it sounds silly, but like the corporate level. And then each chapter also has their Instagrams where they post about the rides. And all of our rides are free, unless otherwise indicated. There's already enough barriers in biking. We really want to make it as accessible as possible. So even if you don't have a bike, reach out and let us know. We've got lots of bikes among our leadership group that we'd be happy to let you borrow.
Okay.
And yeah, just show up. And typically our rides are less than 5 miles, which sounds like a long way, but it goes fast on a bike. And we stick together, we regroup, especially riding in Northwest Arkansas, there's hills. You can't avoid them. And so if people need to walk the hills, we encourage that. And then we wait at the top for everybody to catch their breath, and then we keep going. So.
All right. No, yeah, because I was just about to ask for that because I was like, oh, that sounds nice. But like my slow ass, like I'll be out of breath in the first 3 pedals, and you guys just going to sit there and wait for me?
100%. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's actually that's like a big reason we started it is because like I was going on these when I first got into biking, I was going on these rides and getting left behind. Yeah. People would say like, oh, everybody's welcome. It's a no drop ride. And then the group just goes and you're like, bye.
I just got dropped.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought y'all said no bikers left behind.
Exactly. What the hell? And so I realized like there's space and there's a community need for this. And so that was really kind of the start of it. Yeah. And then they made this film about us in 2021. Mm-hmm. The film's called All Bodies on Bikes. And
can be found on YouTube.
It can be found on YouTube. Yep. Mm-hmm. Shimano made it. It's a really cute, it's like 10, 11 minutes long. But once that came out, there was like demand from all over the country of like, come to my town and lead a ride. Come here, give a talk. We want to ask you questions. And that's when we realized like this thing has legs and we could make it a real opportunity.
And then you also, before the podcast started, we were talking, or you guys were talking, and I overheard, and you said that when you joined, you were a little on the heavier side.
Uh-huh.
And then you had problems finding clothes and stuff.
Exactly.
Now, is that something you guys help out with here in this nonprofit?
Yes, kind of. Mainly through being a pain in the ass to the bike companies. Okay. So, going and giving trainings on size inclusion. When I first started riding, in 2021, I got sponsored by Pearl Izumi. They're a big bike clothing maker, and I worked with them to extend their sizes. Okay. I no longer work with them. I work with a brand called Shredley. It's actually who I'm wearing right now. They make women's clothes, and they make up to a size 24 in women's, which is pretty inclusive. Okay. And so we have a resource, or we have a list on our website with brands that go up to plus sizes for both men and women. And then we actually have a custom line of cycling clothing that goes up to a 6X, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, man, because I'm a 3X right now. And it's hard just finding regular clothes, man.
It is. Yeah. And
that's a cool jersey. Oh, double X?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like a double X that fits like a medium.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're tight.
Yeah, they're very tight. They're very small. And so we're just trying to have those conversations with the bike industry and saying, hey, 70% of Americans are bigger bodied, like are overweight or obese, according to the CDC.
I don't know if you heard, but you're in America.
Exactly. Well, yeah, like you're just leaving money on the table if you're not making products.
Can I get a gun holder for my bike too?
So what does the work look like here for you? Like what do you do here on a weekly, monthly basis with your nonprofit? Like besides what you've already mentioned, is there other components that maybe we haven't mentioned?
A big part is fundraising. So I do need to get paid for this work, not unfortunately, but we live in a capitalist society. So fundraising, grant writing, that sort of thing. A lot of developing online resources. So we're developing, actually there's a class that I'm teaching at the Fayetteville Public Library on March 29th called Biking for Bigger Bodies. It's kind of our signature class where we basically give out all the information we know to help people get comfortable on bikes. And so we're working on turning that into an online course. And then just administrative stuff, We also have a podcast.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So we tell stories from the bike world, kind of like you do, stories that haven't already been told. So we interviewed the Gaza Sunbirds recently. They're a paracycling team out of Gaza. Other interviews we've done.
What's paracycling?
Oh, that's a great question. Have you heard of the Paralympics?
No.
Okay. It's cycling or sports for people that have disabilities.
Oh, okay.
So amputations or, born congenitally that way. And so this team in Gaza specifically, they're all amputees from violence, basically.
wow.
So yeah, telling
That's
those
cool, though.
stories.
And that episode hasn't came out yet, or it already has?
It came out last week.
Oh, it did?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. So if you go to allbodiesonbikes.com and click on the podcast, or Spotify, iTunes, whatever, if you look for All Bodies on Bikes, you'll find the podcast.
We'll put a link on this episode.
Awesome, thank you.
So I wanted to also ask you about content creation. Your Instagram is very lively. Like you said, you have a good amount of followers as well. What does that look like for you? Like, how much time do you put into that on a weekly basis? Or do you do it by yourself too?
I do it by myself. Not as much time as I should. This afternoon, I'm actually making content. How do I want to say this? Making content is annoying. I want to go ride my bike and have fun, and
You have to stop and get your phone out. And,
and you got to record, and like, how am I going to do this edit? How am I going to do this cut? And it used to be really simple of just like, I'm going for a bike ride. And so I probably spend 10 to 15 hours a week making content. It also depends if I've got any like paid brand deals that week. So right now I'm working with this group called Bike New York. They do this big ride called the 5-Borough Tour. And they brought me out last year for the ride, and then this year they're paying me to make some content to promote the ride. And I'm kicking myself, though, because I can't find my little memory card from the ride. I had my GoPro with me, and I have footage of riding through Central Park and riding all through New York, and I can't find the footage that I took to make this content. So I'm stressing out, like, how am I going to get this content? So it's fun, but it's challenging. It's a job that I never thought I'd have, but here we are.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like a lot of people, I mean, especially like the younger generation, look at me sounding all old.
I know. Why are you looking at me when you say that too?
Because I wanted to know like how you felt when I said that.
I felt pretty good. Keep on saying that, please. The younger generation.
Yeah, I mean, because all these kids all want to be what do you call it? Influencers.
They all want to be influencers, yeah.
And that thing is a hard thing to get into, man. My mom wants to be an influencer.
I know you were telling me about this. Your mom's on TikTok, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, she thinks she has a lot of followers, but she has like 60. You know.
That's 60 people that care about her content.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm at like 41,000 or something on Instagram. I have a TikTok, but I think I've got like 200 followers. It's funny, the different platforms all behave differently, and like you got to engage with them differently and put up different content. And for some reason, Instagram is what works for me.
What do you think? What kind of content specifically? Obviously, like we know like what you're doing, but like, has there been some videos that you feel hit more people like view wise? Yeah,
anytime I show footage of me riding and doing something hard. So I put up a video the other day of me riding through this muddy section on a race, and I say race, it was more of an event, but I do these big gravel events, and there's footage of me, somebody recorded me riding through and all these other people walking, and I just put a little caption up that said like, don't underestimate me because I'm fat, and that's going viral right now. So I think things like that, the fall video that I was talking about of going off that airbag, I think things that are relatable, anytime I put up anything in a swimsuit does well, but that's just to be expected.
Look, talking about that specifically, my Instagram algorithm is bonkers. Like if you go to my explore page, I don't spend time watching like
Dig Latinas.
Like yes.
Mine has that too, and I'm like, have you been looking at my internet history? Like, what's going on here?
Because I told my wife, I was like, look, like, because I don't want to get caught like going through my explore page and then she'd be like, what is this? Like I was like, look, my algorithm, I don't look at these videos, I don't like them or anything, but if you go through my explore page, it's like,
dude, I swear, it's wild. You look at one and it takes a month to get that.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So it's like
it's like we know you like it.
So I'm like, I need to like more Cobra Kai videos so I can get more of that on my explore page. But I think it's interesting how social media works. Like you were talking about like TikTok compared to Instagram. What are some, like, how does it look like in regards to the feedback that you get on social media? Like, is the majority of it positive? I'm guessing that there's probably some bad also.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I just wanted to go about what you just said. So I guess this couple did an experiment, and they both started brand new Instagram. She did a guy page, and he did a girl page. And immediately, like, because it said male on the profile. She started getting thick Latina videos. Like she didn't even search anything.
Wow.
Instagram was just like, oh man, I know what you like.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to say that I lived in like the kindest corner of the internet, you know, because it was mainly really positive feedback. Folks, you know, reaching out and saying, you've inspired me so much, or I started riding bikes because of you. And it's still that. But now that my presence has grown a little bit, I do get more trolls. I get more assholes, more people that are, I don't know if they're jealous or just disparaging.
We'll say jealous.
I think it's jealous, but, you know.
They just have no time, probably.
Yeah.
They're haters.
But I just try and ignore it. Overall, it's still majority positive.
How do you not
I don't know
let
how I would take that, man.
Yeah, how do you
People
not let the negativity affect you? How do you not?
I just try and ignore it. Honestly, like I don't have notifications on my phone. So like if I go check my Instagram now, I probably have like 40 notifications, but I don't look at it. Like it doesn't pop up. And then I just don't read all the comments.
Yeah.
Because it's not healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sometimes will read comments like on stuff. Or I think people are less likely to comment on my stuff. They're more likely to send me messages.
Yeah.
They're gonna be hateful.
Yeah.
Like I have like this one troll. I won't name him by name.
Don't give him
but
that power.
He's from Bentonville, and unfortunately he's a Latino, and he has like 5 different profiles that he comments on my stuff.
Oh my gosh.
On, and he like replies to my stuff, and he's just. I can tell that he's just a very miserable person.
And say he a fan.
And he's like, and I've told him, like, I've replied to him. I replied to him like once or twice. And one time I asked him, I was like, hey, dude, like, do you need someone to hear you out? Like, do you need like a hug? Or because it sounds like you're like hurting right now. Like, I don't know what's going on in your life. I was being a little sassy with it too, right?
Yeah.
I was like, do you need some attention? Because this is not normal what you're doing, like constantly replying to my social media in a hateful way, you know? And then he stopped talking to me for a few months. So I think that kind of hit him a little bit. But now I think Instagram has this one thing where like if you block one profile because they're being hateful, it does it to all their profiles.
Yeah. Yep.
So I blocked one of his profiles, and now he can't contact me no more because
It's
all his profiles got like blocked by doing that, which I think is cool. I'm not sure if you've already seen that feature or not.
I have. I thankfully don't have to block people too often, but you know, it was really interesting. There was a teenager that was trolling me, like commenting on every single thing.
It's always a teenager.
It's always a teenager. And I went and looked, and he was, I'm not going to name him, but he was he's a very famous dad in the bike industry. And so I took screenshots and I sent it to his dad. And I said, hey, can you get your kid in line? And like, I'd never talked to this person before. Like, we're talking like one of the founders of like mountain bikes back in the 80s, like real big guy. And he reached out. He was like, oh my God, I'm really embarrassed by this. I'm really sorry. So,
Dang.
yeah.
Bro. No, daddy, no.
I know. I'll find your parents.
Not my trust fund.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, so with social media, I think it is hard to manage because even with the stuff that I'm involved with, whether it be in the podcast or other ventures that I have, like it can get overwhelming. Do you think that you'll eventually have a team to help you out with that, or do you?
I would love to. I mean, I do, and I feel so silly saying this. I actually have an agent for my own personal side that helps with brand deals because I realized that I was really bad at negotiating. Yeah. And I'd be like, yeah, $1,000 is fine. They're like, no, ask for 5,000. I was like, oh, okay, who knew? And so I have a team helping me there. On the All Bodies on Bike side, I would love to have folks help out with that. But it's just a matter of bandwidth and, you know, committing volunteers and making sure that everybody feels good about it.
What are the brands that you're currently working with?
So on my personal side, my bike sponsor is Cannondale. I work with Shimano for components. Shredly for my clothing. I kind of already talked about that. Ride with GPS. They're a software system that helps map out routes. And Osprey for backpacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are some of the things that you would want to see improve in the biking scene here locally that you've thought about?
Yeah.
And you're like, do we have all day for this?
I know, right?
Yeah. Because I don't know nothing about the biking scene here. All I know is we have a greenway. There's a building in Bentonville that you can ride indoors kind of thing.
Yeah, like, you can ride up the side of it, the ledger.
That's all I know. So having you as somewhat of an expert on this, like I kind of want to know like what what's out there and what's not out there that you would like to.
Yeah, I mean, the Greenway is an incredible resource. The Razorback Greenway is incredible. It doesn't connect everywhere you need to go. I rode the other day from Bentonville to Springdale to get dinner with some friends. So I was like, I want a longer ride. But then once you get off the Greenway, the connections into like places you actually want to go is really hard. So it's like biking around here right now is it's a toy, you know, it's a recreation thing. I would love to see it become more used for transportation. You know, safe bike lanes, safe bike infrastructure, the drivers to respect us and know how to interact with us on the road. But I also just want to see more inclusion, more inclusive communities. You know, I was so excited when I moved here of like, Northwest Arkansas is all about biking. And then as I got here, it became very obvious that like, oh, it's into biking if you have the right kind of bike and you have the right clothing and you can keep up with people. And so I would love to see more inclusive work happening and more inclusive communities popping up. And that's the work we're trying to do, and a couple other orgs, you know, Pedal It Forward, Latinas and BCs, All Bikes Welcome. They're all working towards similar goals.
Have you had any opportunities to collab with any of those?
Yeah, and it's been awesome. We've done some work with Latinas and BCs.
Shout out Olivia.
Shout out Olivia. She's great. I think I don't know if she's back in town yet, but she spent a lot of the winter in Mexico. And I'm like...
She is. I saw her like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
She came to one of our events.
Nice. I was like, take me with you next time you go. We're doing a volunteer night with Pedal It Forward. So we'll bring folks down. If you want to join us, March 11th at Pedal It Forward. And then we're going to do some rides with All Bikes Welcome as well. Because one of the things with All Bodies on Bikes, like I'm a white woman. I'm very aware of the space I take up and the places that like maybe aren't my space to go into. So let's work with other groups, bring them in, and then partner together.
You know, I'd like to try maybe on March 11th to join y'all. I have a torn ACL that I tore 10 years ago, right? And what's happened now is that like I kind of have like a sprained meniscus.
Yeah.
So going upstairs, whenever I do a lot of stairs in one day, I end up getting in pain for like a few days afterwards. I haven't tried how it is on biking though. I haven't like try to see if I could bike without being in too much pain. I'm not sure if you have any experience or know people that have that experience.
I do. I've actually had 2 knee surgeries on my meniscus. And biking is like the one thing I can still do. Like walking still hurts. Running is out of the question. I used to love to hike. I can't really hike anymore. And so biking, and I'd be happy to help you make sure your seat's at the right height. Because that's the big thing, is just making sure your bike fits you, so that way you're not causing more injury.
You know, talking about like the bike seat, as someone who doesn't know much about bikes, but I've had bikes my entire life, is there a bike seat that feels more comfortable for men than the generic ones? Because look, every time I buy a bike, I end up having just a regular seat, and it hurts.
Yeah.
Like the first few days, it hurts, and I tried buying a seat that was more comfortable by the looks of it, but when I put it on, like it wasn't comfortable for me. I was like, it's the same thing. It still hurts.
But where'd you buy it? Like Walmart? Because they only have like 2.
I think it was Walmart, either Walmart or Academy. So I didn't know if there was a science behind that.
There is. Okay. So the bike seat that comes on your bike is not going to be comfortable. And I guess like to start out, like your bike is not going to feel like you're sitting on your couch, like, or sitting in these chairs. Like it's not supposed to be super comfortable.
Well, I thought it was supposed to be. Dang.
Right. But basically you have these bones called your sit bones, and they're like the bottom of your butt. Like, you know, the bony part of your butt?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, I don't really.
Migs is like, there's a lot of cushion down there.
Yeah, I don't really have the bony part of my butt either, but there are bones down there. And basically, you want to get a seat that is the same width that's going to support you. And so if you go into a bike shop, they can help measure you, and it's not like they're taking a measuring tape to your butt.
I was about to say, how does that process?
Get it good.
Yeah, exactly. Let me bend over for you. No, they've got like a little pad that you sit on, and then wherever those indentations are helps determine. And so making sure that you've got a seat that's actually going to support your bone structure.
Okay.
And then the other mistake that I see people make is they go and get like a really padded seat or a gel seat or a cover. And that actually just like increases the friction.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew there was something behind it, because I was like, there's no way all these people are riding their bikes nonstop and then get home and feel like you had like a stick up your butt kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I will say, like, for those of us that are riding super long distances, like I've got a 100-mile ride planned in a couple months. I'll have padded shorts, and then there's like this anti-chafe cream that you put on too that helps with the friction.
You see, this is the information that needs to be put out to people.
Yeah, I was like, can I just put like my drum like throne, my stool like on this bike? You know?
Hey, you can modify it. Talking about that, I saw on your social media that you had already done in 100-mile. Is it race or is it just a run? Can you talk about that experience?
Other people are racing. I'm just trying to finish.
How was that experience for you?
It was incredible.
How long does that take? 100 miles for you specifically?
For me, anywhere between 12 and 14 hours.
Oh shoot, it's a lot.
Yeah, so you're out there all day. You're eating out there. You're drinking. You're going to the bathroom out there.
Drinking alcohol, or like in your case, were you drinking?
I did.
You did.
So it was an event, and there had like rest stops. And I don't drink anymore, but at the time they had whiskey shots and beers, and it was like a nice.
People don't fall.
I mean, you're working really hard, and so like.
And you're sweating it out too, right?
You're sweating it out, you know, and so one shot or one beer isn't necessarily gonna impair you.
Yeah.
But it was incredible just to like put your mind to something and do it and actually be successful with it. The first time I did it was actually at this race called Mid-South that happens in Stillwater, Oklahoma. It's coming up in a couple weeks. But they do this thing called the DFL. So it stands for Dead Effing Last. So who's ever in last place. And they bring out, like, there's like 500 people at the end just waiting for you and cheering. And you get this big party and you get a cow skull. And I was the last person the very first time I did a 100-mile ride. And it was just... I've never had anything like that. It was overwhelming. It was incredible. And I just felt really proud of myself because as I didn't grow up.
Did it.
I did it, yeah. And I didn't grow up exercising. You know, I don't consider myself to be like a super athlete or of any kind. But I don't even like to drive 100 miles. And to ride 100 miles is pretty damn cool. Yeah.
That's a big accomplishment. So congratulations.
Thank you.
On that. And you say you have another one coming up.
Doing it again. There's something weird that happens when you start doing these ultra endurance events where it becomes addictive.
What are you doing differently from this one than what you did last time? Like now knowing what the experience is
I'm actually training. So last time, you know, I was like, oh, I think I'm ready.
And no alcohol this time too, right?
Probably not. Yeah, definitely no alcohol. But it'll largely be the same thing. Like I don't have a set time goal in mind. My goal is to, you know, feed myself appropriately, take care of my body, not hurt myself. So that way I feel strong all day long.
Sounds good. Well, I'm excited to see the pictures and stuff that you'll probably be uploading some of that.
Oh yeah. It'll be a lot of fun. And actually really cool through All Bodies on Bikes. We are taking a team of 15 people to these events or to this event in Stillwater, Oklahoma. One of the things that I realized when I started doing these events was people need mentorship. You know, they might want to show up, but there's a lot that you don't know, like the seat, you know, what kind of bike to ride, what clothes do I wear, how do I fuel myself properly? Yeah. And so we
check in on me a few times, make sure that I'm going.
Exactly. Yeah. So we put out an application and we had like 85 people apply for it.
Oh, wow.
We selected 15 and we've been training with them for the last 6 months to get them ready.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. So really just trying to make sure that people feel supported and included. And when they show up to the start line, they're not the only, you know, fat black woman there, or they're not the only brown person there. Like we really trying to diversify the start line.
And then if they want to join this in the future or look at your progress going through this, what are your socials and the website for this?
Yeah. So at All Bodies on Bikes on all the socials, and then at Marley Blonsky.
Marley Blonsky.
Yeah. It's kind of a mouthful. But it's, yeah, if you Google Marley and bikes, it'll pop up.
Okay.
Yeah, not to toot my own horn, but I was like on
Google,
the cover.
You said Google me.
Yeah, Google me. Yeah, it's funny. Like I'm in the dating scene right now, and people are like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "Can I just tell you to Google me? Like it'll be way easier than explaining it."
You haven't Googled me yet?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like I was like a bicycling magazine rider of the year. Like I've been doing some stuff. Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, thank you for making the time to be here. And we might know the answer to this question already because you've been talking about one of your passions. But what do you do to take care of your mental health?
I sleep.
That's good.
I sleep. I ride bikes. I actually struggle with my mental health a lot. I have bipolar disorder, and so that's been really challenging. Especially because we were talking about earlier, working from home, working by yourself. Yeah. I need that community of folks. So I take medicine too, and I'm not afraid to admit it.
Hey, medicine's important.
Yeah.
My wife is a big advocate for mental health. She used to have like a little show that she would talk about mental health, and she wants to bring it back. But normalizing, medicine is important, because I feel like even in our community, specifically Latino community, it's very demonized. You know, to talk about like taking medicine. It's like, why you gotta take? People think that taking medicine will make you crazy.
Yeah, and it's not true at all.
It actually levels you out. And
You're stressed out.
That's how it is. That's how it is in our community. But thank you, Marley. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah,
I'm excited for people to make their way to your socials, to make their way, to your podcast as well. And hopefully in the future we can do another episode and we can get a follow up of how that 100-mile race went for you.
And we'll take you for a ride.
Hey, I'm gonna make it happen. You said that biking is okay for some injuries, so I'm gonna try myself out, see how it is. Probably it might be today where I might get on my bike. Today's a nice day.
Today's a beautiful day. I'm gonna go get on my bike and make some content. So.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you for being here once again, and for everybody listening. That was the end of the episode this week. Joining us today was the executive director and founder of All Bodies on Bikes, Marley Blonsky. And thank you all for listening. This is Irvin.
And I'm Miggs.
And we're signing off.